Mr. Dennis Tan, you can take your two cards together.
Thank you, Chairman. In the last few months, there appears to be some lamentation over the slow recovery of the Asia-Pacific's aviation industry from the pandemic amidst government restrictions. According to figures released by the International Air Transport Association, IATA, for October last year, travel in the Asia-Pacific was down 92.8% in October 2021 compared to October 2019. According to IATA, the region is the only part of the world to see practically no improvement in air travel during the past year. A few months on, as countries battled their way out of the Omicron threat, I wonder whether there's any sign of recovery for the aviation industry in Asia-Pacific and indeed for Singapore this year. At last year's COS, Minister Ong Ye Kung told the House not to expect a V-shaped recovery. That was before the start of the vaccine travel lanes for Singapore and many other countries. Many countries have relaxed travel restrictions in the last few months. Nearer home, Singapore continues to increase its VTL locations. Australia recently opens its borders to visitors again. As more countries start to open up and to increase flights to other countries and some relaxing COVID test requirements, will the Minister update the House on his expectations for growth of air travel in the coming year and its implications for Singapore as a major air hub and for our aviation industry? I would also like to ask the Minister whether we will see the start of recovery for the aerospace sector. This sector is significant in Singapore, and it includes maintenance, repair and overhaul, MRO, avionics and aircraft component production and repair. As we head towards a post-pandemic world, may I also take the opportunity to ask the Minister whether he can update the House on MOT's review of its plans for Terminal 5. My next card on maritime decarbonisation and bunkering. Mr. Chairman, I declare my interest as a maritime lawyer. In August 2021, the Global Centre for Maritime Decarbonisation, GCMD, was set up by the Maritime and Port Authority of Singapore and 6 partner maritime organisations and companies to, I quote, support decarbonisation of the maritime industry to meet or exceed the International Maritime Organization's goals for 2030 and 2050, unquote. Its stated goals were, among other things, and I quote again, lower the adoption barriers for low zero carbon fuels and technologies by closing the gaps in infrastructure, safety, operations and financing, and to accelerate the deployment of scalable low carbon technologies, unquote. The opening of the centre and the centre's aims are indeed befitting of our port as the leading bunkering port in the world, as well as one of the busiest ports in the world and one of the major world maritime hubs. Singapore should aim to take the lead to hasten the development and the adoption of low or zero carbon fuels for commercial shipping at this critical time. The International Advisory Panel on Maritime Decarbonisation had earlier proposed the establishment of this Global Maritime Decarbonisation Centre in Singapore to coordinate, drive and catalyse maritime decarbonisation solutions. The MPA has recently reported that in 2021, Singapore has kept its position as the top bunkering port, registering total bunker sales volume of 50.04 million tonnes in 2021. Of this, the bulk of the sales volume, 49.99 million tonnes to be exact, were conventional bunker sales, while only 0.05 million tonnes were in LNG bunker sales. Now, it was reported that Singapore commenced regular ship-to-ship LNG bunkering operations from March last year, and that Singapore will continue to diversify our fuel offerings in line with our push for maritime decarbonisation. Indeed, LNG itself may not even be a long-term solution. The industry may have to push onto better, low, if not zero carbon fuels. There is not much time for all stakeholders in the maritime industry in the world to achieve the goal set by IMO to halve greenhouse emissions from 2008 levels by 2050. There is much to do in our search for affordable zero carbon fuels. I hope the GCMD will enable Singapore to spearhead the push among leading maritime nations. Will the Minister share with this House its hopes for the GCMD and also its expectation of what Singapore hopes to achieve for its bunker sales in terms of lower carbon offerings in the coming 5, 10, and perhaps 20 years? Thank you.